After 5 years of silence, this little girl's whispers revealed the incredible CEO behind her pup. Emily had not spoken a word in what felt like a lifetime. 5 years of silence echoed in her small, creaky house, once filled with laughter. The weight of her father's injury had crushed the hope that once danced in their living room like sunlight. Now, the walls seemed to whisper of missed meals and empty wallets. But there, nestled at her side, was Max, a scrappy little pup who offered love when everything else felt lost. His tail wagged like a beacon of warmth, pulling her back from the edge of despair. With Max curled up on her lap, she'd whisper her fears and dreams to him, her voice soft as a breeze, as if it could escape unnoticed into the air. What if we could have pancakes again, Max? Or walk by the river like we used to? She could almost feel the butter melting on warm stacks, the sun warming her face while the sound of water flowed gently beside her. But reality wove a heavier fabric, one woven with the threads of her father's faded spirit. The once robust carpenter sat quietly by the window, staring outside, lost in memories of his past and battles fought. She could see the glistening in his eyes, a longing for what was, and the fear of what could be. As the days turned to months, Emily's silence became a shield, a way to hide from the pain swirling around their family like autumn leaves in a strong wind. One day, the calm shattered when Max dashed out of the open door, chasing after a squirrel. Panic surged inside her. "Max!" she shouted, but no sound came. It was just another moment lost in silence, and the horror of his absence screamed louder than words ever could. Racing outside, heart pounding, she searched every corner of their small town. Each familiar face became a blur, all she could think about was the little creature who made her smile when nothing else could. As she gathered neighbors and friends to help, she stumbled upon Jack, a man who had once soared out of this town, leaving behind the people he thought he had outgrown. He was now a successful CEO, a life filled with wealth but empty of connection. His eyes widened as Emily approached, lost in determination, a spark igniting inside her. This girl, a bundle of courage wrapped in innocence, managed to pull him back into a world he had shuttered away. "Let us find Max," she whispered fervently, her voice finally breaking through the layers of silence. For the first time in years, her words chased away the thick fog of loneliness. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. As the community poured out to search for Max, Emily found strength in her voice while Jack began to confront the ghosts of his past. It wasn't just a dog they were searching for, it was a connection, a something beyond financial success. The weight of their intertwined destinies pressed heavily around them. Then, in a moment of desperation, as the last ray of daylight vanished, Emily stood at the center of their makeshift search party, heart racing. She stepped forward, breath trembling. "Please, Max needs us. I need him. I had to be brave for him." The words spilled out, raw and powerful, firing up the crowd around them. As they searched, Emily felt a flicker of hope inside, illuminating the shadows that once gripped her heart. Would this be the beginning of something new? What would be woven from her bravery? The answer lingered like a breath held too long, and with Jack's guilt surfacing, they were connected by more than just the search for Max. Emily's journey was only just beginning. The darkness wrapped around Emily and Jack as they and their party ventured deeper into the silent streets. The shadows seemed to echo their uncertainty, but in the heart of that despair, Emily's determination shone bright. She could almost feel Max's small body against hers, the warmth and reassurance he offered. "Let us split up," a voice from the crowd suggested, cutting through her thoughts. It was Tom, a neighbor who had played catch with Max before. "Cover more ground that way. We can meet back at the plaza in an hour." Emily nodded, though dread tightened her stomach. What if Max was lost forever? But she couldn't let fear stop her now, she had to believe. "Okay, everyone, be careful." She hesitated, her voice trembling, but grounded by the gaze of Jack, she continued, "I'll head down towards the riverbank." "Me too," Jack said, his determination suddenly sparking. "I'll go with you." They started walking together, the sound of their footsteps echoing in the heavy stillness. The air felt charged, as if everything hung in the balance, waiting for a signal from them. As they approached the river, memories flooded back. Emily could almost hear the laughter of summers past, the splashes and the bright sun sparkling on the water. "He loves it down here," she murmured. "He tries to catch fish, can you believe he thinks he can?" Jack chuckled softly, sharing in her nostalgia. "Dogs have a knack for optimism, don't they?" He glanced at her, a new understanding forming between them. In this quiet desperation, they were both confronting their different forms of loneliness, hers, a little girl longing for her best friend, and his, an adult yearning for deeper connections. Suddenly, they heard a faint whimper on the other side of the river. Emily's heart leaped. "Did you hear that?" She sprinted toward the sound, her legs moving faster than her thoughts. Jack raced after her, urging her to slow down, but her focus was singular. When they reached the riverbank, Emily's breath caught. There, tangled in some reeds, was a little bundle of fur. "Max!" she cried, tears stinging her eyes as she stumbled toward him. Jack's voice was stronger now, urging her to stay focused. "Wait. Let me," but she wasn't listening. She could already see Max's little ears perk up, his tail thumping against the ground, wagging with joy despite being caught. She knelt, reaching out, her heart a wild storm of hope and fear. "Hang on, buddy," Emily said, her fingers trembling against the water's edge. Just as she grabbed for Max, the current shifted, splashing against her clothes, but she didn't let the fear of getting wet stop her. She lunged forward with all the force in her small frame. "Emily!" Jack shouted, trying to pull her back immediately, concern swirling in his voice. But the connection was undeniable. As she pulled Max free, his fur was wet and muddy, but he was alive. Emily felt his warmth under her fingers, that familiar thump of his heart under her palm as he licked her face. Laughter began to bubble up through her tears, the joyful sound mingling with the gentle rush of the river. Jack watched, shaken yet inspired. A raw emotion surged within him. In that moment, he realized what was missing in his life, the genuine connection he saw blooming before him, one built on bravery and love, powerful enough to pierce through silence. "Now we just need to get you home, boy," Emily cooed, her heart swelling. She looked at Jack, their eyes locking in a shared understanding of transformation, both realizing they had found a new path forward together amidst their struggles. But just as they turned to leave, an unexpected noise came from behind, a rustle in the bushes that made both of their hearts race. Was it just the wind? Or was there something lurking in the shadows after all? In this moment of fear and uncertainty, the next chapter of their journey began to unfold. Emily felt the sudden chill run down her spine. The laughter that had just been bubbling from her heart froze, replaced by a tight knot of anxiety. She turned slightly, her eyes scanning the darkened underbrush, the moonlight barely filtering through the branches above. "Did you hear that?" Jack whispered, his hand instinctively reaching for Emily's shoulder, grounding her in that moment. The air felt heavy, like a deep breath held in anticipation. "Yeah," she replied, her voice barely louder than a whisper, but the excitement of finding Max now felt distant. Her heart raced again, the pulse of fear overshadowing the joy just moments before. From the bushes, a sound emerged, not the soft rustle of animals seeking shelter, but something more deliberate. It was a low growl, deep and threatening. Max, still trapped in Emily's arms, shifted restlessly, sensing the tension. "Jack!" Emily breathed, her grip tightening around her dog. "What do you think it is?" "Stay close," he said firmly, stepping in front of her, his posture protective and resolute. They stood together, breaths aligned in a shared effort to mask the discomfort that gripped their hearts. The growl continued, echoing around them as if the shadows themselves had come alive. Jack scanned the area, his keen instincts alert as he probed the darkness for any sign of the source. Another sound emerged, the snapping of a twig. Something was moving, something was definitely there. Emily clutched Max closer, feeling his small body tremble. What if it's dangerous? She wanted to believe in their strength, but dread clouded her thoughts. Let us get back, Jack said, stepping backward slowly. He didn't want to turn his back to the noise, but their safety felt paramount. We'll regroup with the others. We can't take any chances. But just as they began to retreat, a figure stumbled out of the underbrush, illuminated by the pale moonlight. It was a girl, roughly the same age as Emily, dirt streaking her face and clothes tattered, as though she had emerged from a nightmare. Her eyes, wide and fearful, met Emily's with a haunting gaze. Help! The girl gasped. Please. Emily felt a flood of emotions surge at once: confusion, fear, empathy. Jack hesitated, his instincts still screaming to be cautious, but there was something in the girl's voice that broke through his protective wall. What happened? He questioned carefully. This wasn't ordinary. In the quiet solemnity of the night, it felt as though time had momentarily stopped. They're coming for me, the girl said, her voice shaking. I tried to hide, but they found me. As Jack and Emily exchanged glances, a powerful mix of protectiveness and obligation welled up in them. Before they could process their fears, a mutual understanding passed between them. This lovely slip of a girl needed their help. Desperation etched across her tear-streaked face. Come with us, Emily said, her voice steadier than she felt. She extended her hand to the girl, willing to take the leap into the unknown. Slowly, the girl reached out, taking Emily's small hand in her own. Their connection was instant, electric, and Emily felt a flicker of hope spark between them. Jack gestured to move cautiously toward the plaza. As they stepped away from the riverbank, the growl transitioned to a low growl, an unmistakable promise lurking just behind them. The questions swirled in Emily's mind. What had this girl experienced? What was coming? But in that moment, there wasn't time for answers. Their adventure was just beginning, and the shadows were growing restless. As they moved into the night, the fear of what lay behind faded slightly, replaced by the urgency of discovering what lay ahead. Little did they know, the girl was about to reveal a shocking truth, a mystery that would change everything for both Emily and Jack. What secrets lurked in her tattered clothes, and how would this new journey reshape their lives forever? Emily and Jack hurried away from the riverbank, navigating through the thick darkness hand in hand with the tattered girl between them. The growl faded behind them, but its chilling echo lingered, whispering warnings of what might be lurking in the shadows. Can you at least tell us your name? Jack asked, trying to break the tense silence that enveloped them like a spidery web. The girl looked up, her wide eyes shimmering under the pale moonlight. Lila, she whispered, the name sounding fragile like the girl herself. It clung to the night air, a soft plea for understanding. Lila, what happened to you? Emily pressed, wanting to reach the root of the girl's fear. She could feel the tension coiling around them, every heartbeat echoing in her ears. Why are you hiding? I was at a camp, Lila stammered, holding onto Emily's hand as if it was her lifeline. Something went wrong. I tried to tell them, but they wouldn't listen. Then they started coming for us. Emily's heart sank deeper with every word. She thought about the other kids from her school, the laughter, the safe spaces. They were supposed to be places where joy thrived, not fear. What do you mean by coming for you? Jack's voice cut through the dark like a knife, demanding answers while trying to hold on to his composure. Lila took a shaky breath. There's a group. They want us. They think we're special. They're looking for. She hesitated, glancing over her shoulder as if she could feel the shadows creeping closer. Looking for what? Emily urged gently, tears welling as she recognized the depth of Lila's fear. Lila's gaze dropped to the ground, her voice barely a whisper. For children with abilities. I can see things, and they want to use us. Underneath the fear, something else glimmered, a flicker of defiance. Seeing her tremble drove a surge of protective instinct through Emily. There would be no more hiding. Lila, you're safe with us, Emily reassured her, squeezing her hand tightly. We'll figure this out together. No one is going to hurt you. We'll get you back to wherever you came from. Jack nodded, though the uncertainty in his eyes mirrored Emily's own confusion. Yet, they both understood that they couldn't leave Lila's side, not with the ominous presence that threatened them. As they made their way toward the town's plaza, Jack's instincts kicked in again. We need to find a place to lay low till we can contact the others, he said, scanning the area for signs of danger. Suddenly, a rustling sound reached their ears, a disturbance in the quiet that made Emily's blood run cold. The hairs on her arms stood on end, a primal fear gripping her. What now? She whispered, trembling. Stay alert, Jack commanded, his body tense, ready to defend. Before they could react, a faint shape emerged from the trees, and Emily gasped as a large, shadowy figure stepped into the moonlight, a dog, but not just any dog. It was Max, her lost pup, now standing as a guardian between them and the unknown. Max! Emily cried, her voice breaking with overwhelming relief. But as the dog approached, she noticed something strange, not just the usual puppy bounce in his step but an unusual brightness in his eyes, a knowing that chilled her. Lila dropped to her knees and called out to Max. They've found you too. We're in trouble. What kind of trouble? Emily's heart raced again, weaving fear and a budding hope. Max had come back, but what did this mean for all of them? Just then, the growl returned, this time closer, and distinctly animalistic, a familiar sound that sent chills of recognition racing through her spine. They weren't alone. Something dark was closing in on them. Run! Jack shouted, grabbing Lila's hand and pulling her up. Emily followed, Max racing beside them, eager to protect his family. As they sprinted toward the town center, Emily couldn't shake off the sense of an impending storm, the weight of their collective fears, the secrets yet to be revealed. Questions raced in her mind. Were the shadows here to silence them, to capture them? Her thoughts spiraled back to Lila. What had the girl seen that made her such a target? Would they make it out of this alive, intact, or were they going to be next on the list? As they dashed forward, darkness closing in behind, one overwhelming thought gripped Emily: the real fight was just beginning, and they had to discover what Lila truly was before it was too late. The moon hung high, a silent witness to their frantic escape. The weight of the darkness pressed in on them, but Emily pushed past the fear, her heart pounding in her chest. Jack's grip on Lila's hand was firm, and she could see the determination in his eyes as they raced forward. Max led the way, his energy radiating a fierce loyalty and a protective instinct that seemed to electrify the air around them. Emily's mind raced with questions, each one more urgent than the last. Lila was not just running from something, she was running toward something, an understanding, a resolution, something only she could unlock. The thought of Lila being special, possessing abilities that made her a target, sent a shiver through Emily. What else could the girl see? What did she know that they didn't? Where do we go? Jack shouted as they rounded a corner, breaths heavy and uneven. A few scattered streetlights lit their path, but shadows danced at the edges, where the light could not reach. Lila turned, her face pale, features strained with fear. I think there's a place nearby. It used to be safe. We might find some help there. Lead the way. Emily urged, not hesitating for a moment. Lila nodded, a flicker of hope igniting the shadows in her eyes, and they surged ahead again. The sound of their footsteps echoed, blending with the rustling trees. The growls followed, a low, continuous threat that made the back of Emily's neck tingle. She dared not look back. Instead, she focused on Lila, on the path they were forging together. It didn't take long for them to reach a dilapidated building on the outskirts of the plaza, its windows boarded up and doors hanging ajar. This was the place Lila had spoken about, a refuge carved out from fear. "Here!" she exclaimed, pulling the door open. The inside was dark, musty, but it felt safer, less exposed to what lurked outside. They hurried in, the weight of the door closing behind them giving a sense of temporary protection. Emily steadied her breath, her heart racing as Jack turned to Lila, eyes wide with urgency. "What do we do now?" Lila's eyes flitted around the room, desperately seeking something. "We need to concentrate. If we want to get out of here and find my friends." She stopped, her voice faltering. "I can try to communicate, but I need to focus. I can sense things, but they come in bursts." Jack's expression softened, worry etching deeper lines across his brow. "Is it dangerous?" Lila nodded slowly. "If they know we're here, they'll come. I just need a moment, okay? We'll protect you," Emily said, resolute. She exchanged a glance with Jack, whose determination mirrored hers. They would keep this girl safe. Lila closed her eyes, breathing deeply, and the room fell silent except for the distant sounds of the night outside. Emily held her breath, sensing a powerful shift in the air, as if the very walls were listening. Max stayed close to Lila, his presence grounding her. As they waited, Emily felt a flicker of something brushing against their minds, a whisper that felt almost like a breeze touching her skin. Suddenly, Lila's eyes shot open, wide and bright. "They're here!" she gasped, fear spiking like a lightning bolt through her. Before she could finish, the door creaked ominously as something pounded on it from the outside. Jack moved quickly, positioning himself in front of Lila. Emily grasped Max's collar, her heart racing. "What do we do? Do we fight? Do we run?" Lila shuddered, her face pale. "I can see them shadows gathering. They want me. They'll tear this door down." In that moment, the realization crashed over them like a tidal wave. They weren't just running from something. They were standing at the precipice of something bigger than any of them could comprehend. The next move would determine everything. With the door shaking violently, Emily's mind raced. What if Lila was capable of more than just communicating? What if she held the key to their survival? They needed to find that key, and soon before the shadows overtook them completely. The door burst open, splinters flying as darkness surged in, and Emily braced herself. What powerful secrets were hidden in the heart of this night? What awaited them in the depths of Lila's abilities? Could the answers shattered like glass in the chaos transform their fate? Chaos erupted as the door broke open wider, a dark silhouette looming in the threshold. Emily's breath quickened, fear slithering like ice down her spine. Jack's body tensed, his protective stance holding firm as the shadows danced toward them, swirling and twisting in ways that felt almost alive. "Get back!" he shouted, urgency threading through his voice. But they were cornered, the dilapidated room offering no real escape. Lila was shaken, her eyes darting between the advancing shadows and her brave companions. I can try to reach out," she stammered. "But they won't let me. They're angry." Emily felt a mix of desperation and fierce protectiveness. "Then we won't let them take you," she proclaimed, her voice steadying as she squeezed Lila's shoulder. "We'll fight for you. Whatever it takes." Max growled low, fur bristling as he positioned himself defensively, ears perked at the ominous presence. The shadows regrouped, their long, twisting forms moving like smoke, pulsating with a sinister energy that spread an eerie chill through the room. "Don't give in, Lila," Jack urged, stepping closer to her, his resolve unbroken. "Focus. Use whatever it is you can do." With a shaky breath, Lila shut her eyes tighter, her small brows furrowing as if she were wrestling with unseen forces. Emily could feel the tension mounting in the air. Lila was somehow at the center of this storm. The darkness pressed in, intensifying. "They want my mind." Lila gasped, her voice trembling. They think I'm weak but they're wrong. As if in a frenzy, Lila's hands began to glow faintly, a warm light pushing back against the shadows. Emily watched in awe, both terrified and hopeful. This was at the moment of truth. Lila was fighting back, summoning strength from somewhere deep within. Keep it up. Don't let them break you. Jack encouraged, taking a step forward, defiance etched into his features. The shadows recoiled slightly, hissing like steam escaping a kettle. It gave Emily hope they could win this fight. She felt adrenaline course through her veins as she stepped next to Jack, ready to confront whatever came next. Suddenly, the shadows unleashed a ferocious howl, an echo of rage and despair that sent tremors through the old structure. Splintered wood and dust fell from the ceiling, and Emily caught a fleeting glimpse of shapes filling the room, dark figures moving rapidly, their eyes glinting like coals in the night. Lila. We're with you. Just keep going. Emily shouted as the chill deepened, turning into something almost tangible. Inside, Lila fought harder, the glow around her fluctuating. They're scared of the light. She gasped, her voice strained. But I can't hold it much longer. Lila, you're not alone. Max barked fiercely, his loyalty unwavering. The door had shattered, but they were still a unit, standing together. As the shadows lunged toward them, Emily felt something awaken inside her. She wasn't just watching, she was part of this fight. We have to believe in her. She cried, the certainty rising in her. She can do this. With renewed effort, Lila summoned all her energy. The air around them sizzled, crackling with raw power as her light spread wider. Emily felt the warmth touch her skin, enveloping her in a sense of safety. But just as victory seemed within reach, the shadows twisted, merging into a colossal shape that cast an inescapable darkness over them. Lila faltered, her glow flickering dangerously. Don't lose hope. Jack yelled, his voice cutting through the chaos. Together. And in that moment of desperation, something clicked within Lila. The glow exploded, illuminating the room in a blinding flash that seemed to freeze time itself. Emily shielded her eyes, a swell of hope and anxiety swirling inside her. What had Lila unlocked in her, and why did it feel like their survival hinged on this very moment? As the figures writhed against the light, a thought jolted through Emily. This wasn't just about saving Lila, it was about uncovering deeper secrets, ones that connected them all. The blinding glow mesmerized the shadows, but how long could they hold out? With shadows lingering at the edges, Emily wondered if Lila truly knew the extent of her power. What other mysteries lay hidden in Lila's abilities, and could they finally unleash the truth behind the darkness threatening to consume them all? Light radiated fiercely from Lila, pushing against the sinister shadows that hung in the air like a heavy veil. Emily squinted against the brightness, feeling its warmth seep into her bones. It was both invigorating and terrifying. The shadows twisted and writhed, barely holding their form as they fought against Lila's newfound power. Lila. You can do this. Emily shouted, her voice ringing with conviction. She felt Jack's steady presence beside her, both of them anchored by the strength of their bond. We need to focus. Jack urged, his gaze locked on Lila. Channel it. Feel what they're feeling. You have to show them that you're stronger. Lila's hands trembled, the glow around them flickering like a candle caught in a gust of wind. I can't, they're too angry, I don't know how much longer I can. Then, suddenly, her eyes flared open wide. They were bright, almost luminous. No. I want to let them take me. As if answering her declaration, the shadows hissed, recoiling as she concentrated. Her light surged, brilliant and powerful, illuminating every corner of the room. Shadows clashed violently against it, like waves crashing against a rock. A frigid wind swept through the room, stirring dust and debris. The shapes within the shadows began to form faces, twisted and mirroring fear and fury. Emily's heart raced. Lila, focus on the light. she encouraged, voice steady despite the chaos. But as Lila fought back, Emily noticed something shifting within her. It was as if the shadows were not just a threat, they were connected to Lila in some way. Emily's pulse quickened at the thought. Maybe they're feeding off your fear, she whispered, her belief catching fire. Turn the fear into strength. Lila nodded slightly, her expression resolute. Now she didn't just glow, she glimmered, reflecting an inner brilliance that tugged at Emily's heart. Let it in, Lila. Use it. Max howled, his loyalty burning bright even he seemed to echo their hopes. With each passing moment, the tension in the air escalated, a palpable mixture of fear, fury, and burgeoning hope. Emily's mind raced, she could feel the collective struggle, the fight not just for Lila but for everything they had come to protect. The darkness was entwined in their journey. The shadows surged again, more aggressive, a cacophony of anguish crying out. You're weak. You cannot resist. Taunted a voice from within the darkness, echoing around them. No. Lila shouted, anger mixing with determination. The pulse of light in her hands grew brighter, expanding outward, pushing back against the looming darkness. The room flickered between light and shadow, creating an eerie dance that amplified the tension. And all at once, a thunderous roar ripped through the air. It wasn't just the shadows, it was something more, something that sounded like echoing grief. Lila, remember what you told us. Jack urged, stepping forward against the tide of dark figures. You are not weak. You are powerful. In that moment, a surge of understanding flashed in Lila's eyes as if she had unlocked a secret deep within her spirit. She took a deep breath, steadying herself. I am not afraid. She screamed, and with that proclamation, her light erupted like a supernova. The room lit up so brightly that it washed away the shadows, each face twisting in a wail of retreat. The howls of despair were overwhelming, surrounding them like a storm as the shadows disintegrated into curls of smoke. Emily felt the light envelop her, and she didn't want it to end. If only they could hold this moment. Then she saw Lila, her small frame was steady, her eyes fierce and unyielding. Hold the light. Lila shouted, her voice clear and powerful. And then everything fell silent. The shadows, the fear, they vanished entirely. As the bright glow began to dim, Emily felt a rush of exhilaration. They had won, hadn't they? But before they could revel in their victory, a new sensation washed over them, chilling and unsettling. A whispering echo lingered in the air, something ominous still hanging in the silence. What now? Emily whispered, glancing nervously at Jack. A shadow slithered back into the room from the corner, lingering just beyond their light. It felt as if it was waiting for a moment of vulnerability, ready to strike again when they lowered their guard. Something is still here, Jack muttered, his eyes narrowing as they turned toward the dark corner, unease settling in their hearts. With Lila's strength flickering uncertainly, would they be able to face whatever came next? Emily's heart thudded in her chest as the shadow grew bolder, creeping closer to the edge of the fading light. It pulsed with a life of its own, a sinister presence that seemed to breathe in time with her anxious breaths. The freedom they had just fought for felt fragile now, teetering on the brink of uncertainty. Stay close. Jack commanded, his voice steady but edged with urgency. He took a step forward, positioning himself in front of Lila and Emily like a shield. Lila's glow flickered, and Emily sensed the hesitation swirling around her. While her friend had just overcome an immense battle, the remnants of fear clung stubbornly to her. Lila, don't let it in. Emily urged, her voice rising above the increasing anxiety in the room. The shadow paused, as if weighing their resolve. A moment stretched, taut like a thin wire. Then, without warning, it lunged forward, rushing toward them with a kaleidoscope of whispers clawing at the edges of their minds. Lila, use the light. Hold on to the strength you found. Jack shouted, a mix of authority and concern woven into his words. Feeling the shift in the atmosphere, Lila inhaled sharply, reaching deep within herself. She wasn't that scared girl anymore, she had fought for this. A brilliant sheen resurfaced around her hands, spilling outwards as she focused, drawing on their collective bonds, the trust, the memories, the love that strengthened her. The light blazed brightly once more, filling the space, casting the shadow back, but not without a fight. The whispers roared like thunder, they set off endless echoes of doubt and despair. "You're not enough. You will never be enough." They boomed. Gripped by the emotional gravity, Emily's heart ached. She knew those words all too well, felt them gnawing at her own insecurities. But she also felt something deeper, a surge of defiance. "Lila, remember your power. You are more than this." She called out, pouring every ounce of faith into the words. In that very moment, facial expressions shifted. With every murmur of despair, Lila's resolve seemed to strengthen. The darkness surged, but she stood her ground, eyes ablaze not just with fearlessness, but with hope that spoke volumes. A determination surged through her. "I am powerful," she declared, and the light exploded forth, bathing the room in pure luminescence. The shadows howled, their faces contorting in anguish and rage, but Lila pressed on, amplifying her strength, directing it purposefully. The light twisted and coiled around them, forming a barrier against the encroaching darkness, fighting for every inch. "Just a little more," Jack urged, his eyes flicking between Lila and the retreating shadows. As the darkness shrank back, Lila's glow surged and expanded, filling the room and washing over Emily and Jack. For a brief moment, they could see beyond the shadows, revealing something even darker lurking within them. "What is that?" Jackie whispered, catching sight of flickering, anguished images swirling amidst the shadows, fragile memories intertwined with long-buried fears. Emily's breath caught in her throat. Those are pain and sorrow," she breathed, a realization dawning upon her. Each whisper belonged to lost stories and memories yearning to be understood. "We can't just fight. We have to understand it," Emily said softly, the fire of defiance giving way to compassion. Lila steadied her breathing, and with the echo of that flickering strength, they realized that perhaps this was a fight not only for survival but for healing. Together, they began to reach out, not with fear but with openness. As they did, the shadows froze, waiting to see their response. "Can you hear us?" Lila's voice was soft yet certain. "We want to understand we are here." The shadows quivered, creating an opening. A shift was palpable. Emily felt the warmth of Lila's light wrapping around her like a comforting embrace, resonating with an energy that longed to connect. The tension in the air crackled with expectation, each breath waiting for an answer. But would the darkness respond to their bridge of understanding, or was it too far gone? As Emily looked around, a sense of anticipation filled the room. "What lies beyond this shadow?" she whispered, her heart racing at the thought of what was to come. In that moment, they stood on the threshold of discovery, caught between light and shadow, wondering if they could rewrite the story of pain entwined in the dark. The shadows held their breath as Lila's light vibrated in the charged air. An uneasy silence enveloped them, as if every whisper had paused to hear what would come next. Emily's pulse raced, she could feel the pounding of her heart echoing in her ears, a loud reminder of the stakes. Jack shifted next to her, eyes wide with anticipation, and for a moment, time seemed suspended. Then, as if awakening from a long slumber, the shadows began to stir again. Echoes of sorrow floated toward them, morphing into recognizable forms. Faces emerged, contouring the dark hollow cheeks, downcast eyes, lips quivering in silent agony. Flickering memories clashed against the brilliance of Lila's light, creating a dance of contrast, beauty intertwined with pain. "Lila, can you see them?" Emily breathed, her voice a mixture of awe and terror. Each face felt familiar, like echoes of her own past moments she wished to bury and yet could never forget. They're afraid," Lila murmured, her expression reflecting empathy rather than fright. "They don't want to be here. They want to be seen." The shadows quivered again, a ripple of unrest. The wounded souls within the dark recoiled as Lila's brilliance met their despair. Emily's heart ached for them. What if we could help them? She suggested, taking a step forward. Her voice trembled but was laced with a newfound strength. We could listen. Jack's gaze shifted to Emily, surprise etched on his face. You really think that will work? He asked, uncertainty lingering on his words. We fought to uncover our truths, Emily reminded him. If we can face our fears, then so can they. It's not just about fighting anymore. Lila nodded, gathering courage from Emily's words. If we can understand their pain, perhaps they'll let go of their darkness. We need to reach out. As she spoke, Lila's light flared, illuminating the faces suspended within the shadows. It wasn't a spotlight, rather a beacon that invited connection and compassion. You're not alone. Lila called out gently, her voice like music floating on the air. We want to help you. Just tell us what you need. With those words, the shadows seemed to hush, waiting in a fragile state of trepidation. It was a stillness heavy with emotion, as the cries of muffled anguish transformed into quieter murmurs. Emily took a breath, willing herself to let go of her own fears, to forget the insecurities that had haunted her. In an unexpected moment of clarity, one of the shadowed figures stepped forward, trembling visibly. The features began to take shape: an older woman, face etched with lines of grief, eyes glistening as if about to spill over. Emily could hardly breathe as she met the woman's gaze. The connection felt immediate and powerful, stretching across the void between them. I'm so lost, the woman whispered, her voice laced with sorrow that hit Emily like a sharp pang in her stomach. I thought if I buried it deep enough, it would disappear. A heavy silence hung in the air. Lila's light flickered, but rather than diminishing, it pulsed with a determination that was palpable. We can carry it together, Lila said softly. Let us share your burden. Are you sure? I've been carrying this alone for so long. The woman's voice cracked, a torrent of emotion lingering beneath her words. Let it go, Emily urged, instinctively stepping closer. Light can only emerge from understanding. We won't let you carry it alone anymore. The figure hesitated, but the warmth of Lila's light and Emily's compassion sparked something deep within. Would she take the leap? Would she trust in the shared strength of their light? As uncertainty wavered in the air, Emily felt her heart swelling with hope. They were on the brink of transformation, hovering between despair and healing, with lives stretched into the unknown. The shadows flickered, responding to the emotions surging from the tender connections forming. As they began to dissolve, leaving behind fragments of sorrow and a flicker of hope, Emily held her breath, waiting for the moment to bloom. Would the darkness retreat entirely, or would it hold tightly to its secrets? Emily leaned in, her heart whispering a prayer for understanding across the burgeoning chasm. The answer, and what lay beyond, lingered tantalizingly close. The shadows trembled, caught between the light and darkness, a battle fought not with fists but with hearts open wide. Emily felt a surge of determination course through her veins, bolstered by the warmth of Lila's glow and Jack's unwavering presence beside her. Let go of the pain, Lila urged, her voice steady and inviting, as if she were reaching out to the echoes of the woman lost within the shadow. You don't have to endure this alone anymore. The dark figure shifted, uncertainty flickering across its features, a reflection of ages of sorrow etched into the fabric of its being. I am afraid, the woman whispered, her voice breaking like fragile glass. What if I let it go, and there's nothing left? Emily stepped forward, her heart pounding at the leap of vulnerability she was about to take. You might find there's more than what you carried. There's hope and love waiting to embrace you. We've faced our fears. You can too. In an instant, the ancient threads of grief wrapped tightly around the woman began to unravel, threads that had once held her captive now slowly transforming into something lighter, more ethereal. Emily reached out her hand, feeling a familiar warmth as Lila's glow enveloped her, connecting them all in a web of support and compassion. Slowly, Like a candle ignited after years of darkness, a flicker of light emerged from the woman. It danced tentatively, as if testing the waters of freedom. What if I cannot return to who I once was? She murmured, memories and regrets swirling like spectral leaves caught in the rush of a storm. Who you once were is strong, and you are not alone in this, Jack interjected, stepping closer, eyes fierce with conviction. You can rebuild yourself, piece by piece, with the support of others. The shadows surrounding them stirred, the other faces lingering possessively around the woman's light, fearful of losing their grip but intrigued by the warmth of newfound possibility. You are not defined by the darkness, Lila said, her voice steady. We stand with you. As those words hung in the air, the darkness around them began to shrink. The figures within the shadow that had once seemed monstrous now appeared smaller, weaker. What are you? The woman asked hesitantly, peering through the dimness, her fear giving way to curiosity. We are hope. We are strength. Together, we can overcome, Lila proclaimed, her light pulsing rhythmically, synchronizing with the woman's growing glow. And at that moment, the interconnectedness between them transformed everything. The shadows pulsed and flickered, melding into a symphony of light and darkness that no longer fought against each other but began to dance together in harmony. Emily felt an unexpected rush of exhilaration wash over her, for every flicker of light represented acceptance, every pulse a step toward healing. Let us help you remember who you were, the one without fear, the one who believed in hope, she urged. As the woman's light continued to expand, her shape grew clearer, more defined, free from the restraints of her shroud. The fear and sorrow began to dissipate, revealing a radiant spirit once hidden. All at once, the remaining shadows responded. They flickered and flared like filaments in a storm, surrendering to the warmth radiating from Lila and Emily. The whispers faded, replaced by a chorus of compassion as the figures emerged, relinquishing their sorrow to the unity blossoming around them. With a surge of strength, Lila lifted her hands high. Light exploded forth, engulfing the entire room, banishing the shadows completely. You are free. Her voice rang out, full of triumph. Emily could hardly contain herself. They had done it together. Instinctively, she reached for Max, who had been a steadfast silent ally throughout their journey. We are truly powerful when we stand together, she laughed, joy bubbling within her. Jack smiled, eyes brimming with admiration and pride. You did it, Lila. This is just the beginning. They turned and faced the woman, who, now free from her shadows, shimmered like the dawn. Her face wore the serene glow of a new dawn, light cascading around her as she smiled. Thank you for reminding me that I'm not alone. I can help others find their strength too. Lila's light flickered with promise, and together they knew this was not just a fleeting victory but a lasting change. In the quiet aftermath, the shadows had been turned to light, and amidst the glow, they understood that the struggle had brought forth growth. Hope filled their hearts with newfound purpose as the night brightened around them. They would stand as guardians not just for Lila but for all who would come, ready to fight the darkness with their light. As they stepped into the dawning day, armed with courage and friendship, Emily knew their journey was far from over. Together, they would seek the deeper truths hidden in the shadows of others' hearts, carrying the message that no one should ever face their darkness alone. This was a moment of glory, filled with laughter and promise. Let us move forward. She shouted, her heart bursting with joy, knowing they each had the power to inspire change. As the light unfolded before them, Emily embraced the journey ahead, knowing it was only the beginning. Are you ready to join us on more adventures like this? You need to subscribe now to never miss another inspiring story. Leave a like right this second to show your support for these heartwarming transformations. Comment below to share your thoughts and feelings about this journey of healing and courage. And please, share this video with at least 5 friends who need to witness this uplifting change. Let us spread the light together. Don't wait not even one more second.